White walkers at the point.
But I don't understand how you think that we're almost losing America. And the whole thing is, it's just fucking creepy to have guys like Mayor Garcetti be
asking me what I wouldn't talk about and
Right.
asking me to defend it. My point is, I don't really care about it.
When you've taped over 2,000 episodes of uncensored, long-form interviews, something is bound to get heated. But some of the conversations on the Joe Rogan Experience have wandered from simple heated debates into outright brawls that change the landscape of podcasts forever. We're discussing today the most explosive episodes that got people talking. Hi, podcast fans. Be prepared to subscribe before we start with these jaw-dropping moments because we are about to analyze some of the most scathing debates in podcast history. Science debates gone wrong. Politics gone wrong. These episodes showed us what occurs when free speech gets out of hand. 10. The Candace Owens climate change debate. What started as a regular political debate soon turned into a heated argument when Candace Owens denied climate change.
I think we have to care about the environment?
No, not even a little bit.
You don't believe in climate change?
No. I think that was just a way to extract dollars from Americans.
You don't believe it, at all?
I genuinely don't believe it. I know you do, but I genuinely don't believe it.
Global warming, climate change is definitely real. It's happening.
I don't believe it's real, okay? So I can't sit here.
But here's the question, but why have a belief?
What do you mean?
Why have a belief as to whether or not global warming is real or not real?
Because
if
I just find that when things,
you don't
you're
understand
correct,
the science.
you are correct.
But why have a belief in it?
Right.
Rogan, in his environmental awareness and previous interviews with climate scientists, challenged her assertions with evidence-based facts. The argument got heated with Owens not being able to present proof of what she was asserting, leading to one of the most legendary debates of the podcast when it comes to scientific facts. "I'm pretty sure you have no idea what you're talking about," Rogan replied bluntly, breaking from his normally deferential interview approach. The interaction was typical of the way even Rogan's patience wears thin over unproven assertions regarding scientific matters. What was so interesting was Rogan breaking from his usual policy of allowing guests to speak freely, demonstrating that some topics must be live fact-checked. The reaction to this interview set off a broad debate about the responsibility of podcast hosts in addressing misinformation, even if it is from their own guests. The video went viral, gaining millions of views and an infinite number of reaction videos. Climate scientists thanked Rogan for standing firm, and media commentators called this a textbook case of how podcast hosts can address misinformation in real time in a responsible manner. 9. The Steven Crowder cannabis confrontation. Conservative pundit Steven Crowder's guest appearance went sideways when the subject of cannabis legalization was broached. What was a typical debate quickly derailed when Crowder attempted to quote statistics on cannabis accidents.
Drunk driving arrests have dropped. What do you mean first of all?
No, I wrote about what the sources are, the original studies.
Just because someone gets in an accident and they're high. Hold on, stop.
No, hold on a second. This is
you
because you just
interrupt way too much. One is one of the things that are good. And don't shore, man. Just like you don't shore turmeric, you don't shore ginger, you don't shore a reduced sugar diet. All those things that reduce inflammation are good for you.
I don't buy that smoking marijuana would be as beneficial.
Rogan, having debated and studied cannabis extensively on his show, began fact-checking Crowder's arguments in real time based on his staff's research capabilities. The tension reached its peak when Crowder, clearly uncomfortable with his facts being called into question, became increasingly defensive. "You're being strangely aggressive," Crowder remarked, to which Rogan responded by systematically exposing flaws in Crowder's logic. The exchange demonstrated the role reversal of power that occurs when a host who has facts available challenges unchecked claims from a guest. This confrontation was a turning point in the history of podcasts, with audiences witnessing Rogan morph from charming conversationalist to fact-checking crusader. The episode was watched by millions, and media pundits described it as a great example of how to tackle misinformation without resorting to personal attacks. Social media was afire with clips of the showdown, and it sparked general discussion on the fact-checking role of podcast hosts on the claims of guests. Bill Burr mask moment. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, a routine by comedian Bill Burr went instantly legendary when Rogan inquired about mask mandates.
Walk down the street with a mask on?
Let's not start this, John.
Do you, though?
Let's not start this. Okay?
Let's start it.
I don't want to start this bullshit. I'm not going to sit here with no medical degree, listening to you with no medical degree, with an American flag behind you, smoking a cigar, acting like we know what's up better than the CDC.
Burr's now viral response, "I'm not going to sit here with no medical degree listening to you with no medical degree," wasn't just a quip. It was also a moment that accurately encapsulated the broader controversy about expertise and public health information. The exchange was a window into the unique dynamic between Rogan and his comedian friends, who feel more comfortable than other guests pushing back against his opinions. Burr's jokingly making a serious point about the limits of non-expert opinion was a model for how to respectfully disagree with a popular host. The video went viral across platforms as doctors, public health workers, and individuals in general praised Burr for his straight shooting. The incident brought to the forefront important discussions on the use of humor to draw attention to serious public health crises and the responsibilities of influential podcasters during global crises. The Neil deGrasse Tyson Scientific Showdown. During the episode where astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson appeared, what started out as a humorous discussion about traveling in space quickly turned into a heated debate on conspiracy theories regarding the moon landings.
Did you ever read Bill Clinton's My Life? Yeah. He had one wild thing to say about the moon landing. Well, he was saying that he was working, I think he was doing construction in 1969. So in this scenario, he's talking to this carpenter, and he's telling this carpenter, "Isn't it crazy? They landed on the moon." And the carpenter says something to the sound of, "I don't believe anything those television fellers say." And he goes, "I think they can fake anything," somewhere along that line. And he goes, "Back then, I thought that guy was a crank."
Rogan, who enjoys playing devil's advocate, began raising various conspiracy theories, only to find himself matched by Tyson's uncompromising commitment to scientific fact. The row reached its peak when Tyson, obviously agitated, launched into a lengthy physics thesis refuting mainstream conspiracy theories. So anomalous was Tyson's tirade, however, that what made it actually bite was his growing irritation with host Rogan's relentless questioning stance of foundational scientific evidence. While other guests may stumble, Tyson did not, leading to an uncomfortable but revealing exchange regarding scientific evidence versus research on the internet. The event triggered a broader discussion among scientific circles on the best way to address listeners who might be susceptible to conspiracy theories. Viral videos of Tyson's explanation were viewed throughout the web, with many teachers adopting them as examples of good ways of discussing pseudoscientific assertions. The event also prompted it to alter the way in which Rogan discussed scientific matters in subsequent episodes, being more cautious in presenting established scientific facts. The Twitter controversy of Adam Conover. A brief discussion of social media with Adam Conover was transformed into a heated argument over content moderation and exposed deeper tensions between various generations of opinions regarding online speech. Conover, in invoking experience and data, attempted to explain the nuance of content moderation, but Rogan became increasingly aggressive toward what he saw as the attacks on free speech. The debate was fueled further as Conover presented real examples of controversial content that required moderation and thus instilled a natural disagreement over the role of the platforms in public discourse. The discussion demonstrated how even ordinary terms like free speech and censorship could mean entirely different things to each other. This episode generated much commotion among tech circles, with
advantages in terms of reaction time that males enjoy. It's some significant difference in reaction time between males and even untrained males versus female professional athletes.
Social media commentators and content moderators weighing in on the challenge of describing their work to the masses. The scandal highlighted the widening gap between those who labor at social media companies and those who criticize their decisions. The Sanjay Gupta vaccine controversy. CNN's hosting of Dr. Sanjay Gupta towards the height of the COVID-19 pandemic.
I'm happy I got through it. I don't wish it upon anyone. It wasn't fun, but it wasn't the worst cold I've ever had, and I got over it fairly quickly, relatively speaking.
I think that, and again, I am truly glad about that. I'm not, all kidding aside, I don't think anybody wishes you, everyone wants you to be well and healthy. But I think the question is just in terms of the nuance of this. It's not a strategy to recommend people get infected.
Constituted a turning moment in medical publicity. The heated 3-hour argument was most antagonistic when Gupta was accused of hypocrisy by Rogan regarding the reporting of CNN on his regimen for treating COVID-19. This snowballed into an even more deep-seated discussion on media accountability during public health crises. The discussion became increasingly uncomfortable as Rogan questioned Gupta about what he perceived to be inaccurate reporting in the media, as Gupta tried to balance his two roles as medical practitioner and public figure. The exchange showed the growing chasm between traditional media's structured presentation of health news and podcasting's more open model of discussion. This episode fueled passionate debate between journalism and medical circles about how public health information is best delivered during an era of increasing distrust in the media. Medical professionals utilized clips from the episode to discuss the challenge of health communication amid polarized media.
Included ivermectin on the list, a drug used for livestock. The FDA and the CDC warn against using to treat COVID.
Turns out I got COVID.
Look, they put a
So
yellow
we
filter on
immediately
me
threw
too.
the kitchen sink at it. All kinds
did.
of meds. Monoclonal
You see the original
antibodies,
video versus that? I look like shit there.
Z-Pak,
Do you know that?
I think you look good.
Pause. It's enough.
Prednisone.
I don't
That's
think
enough, Jamie.
I don't
But-
think Aaron had glee.
Oh, well, it's more Brian Stelter was the gleeful one. But the point is, that's a lie.
It can be used for humans. I get it. I totally.
Not just could be used for humans, is often used for humans along with all the other drugs I took, all human drugs.
Yes.
They know it's a human drug.
It's right.
The occasion highlighted the diverging gap between institutional communication and public trust when there is a health crisis. The Mick West UFO encounter. The arrival of professional skeptic Mick West facilitated one of the most insightful exchanges between skepticism and belief.
No one. Who has more nuclear weapons pointed at other people than us? We have them all over the place. And there's all these multiple sightings and eyewitness accounts of like very credible people who say these things have hovered over military bases.
The discussion about UFO evidence became contentious when West employed his methodical debunking approach on military pilot testimony, eliciting a visceral reaction from Rogan, who had interviewed several such pilots in the past. West's scientific exploration of the UFO phenomenon, with detailed video examination and explanation, was contrasted with Rogan's more credulous embracing of unexplained phenomena. Things got even hotter when West ventured that pilots could err in judgment about everyday phenomena, leading Rogan to jump to the defense of pilot testimony.
You ever seen anything in all of your years of trying to debunk these things that made you question whether or not this was a legitimate phenomena?
What, the chemtrail thing?
Anything. UFO, chemtrail,
Well, the thing is, like with UFOs, there's always things that you can't explain. There are things that are unidentified, but there's usually plausible explanations for them.
Right.
I like to, whenever I'm given something like a mysterious thing, I like to list all the explanations that I can think of. And maybe none of them are a perfect fits that you can guarantee this is what the explanation is. But like it being like a ghost or an alien spacecraft as an explanation is usually pretty close to the bottom. Like you start out saying, oh, it's a balloon,
Right.
or it's a bird, or it's a drone, or it's CGI.
The episode served as a reference point in discussions about the tension between healthy skepticism and dismissiveness. Both UFO researchers and skeptics used excerpts from this episode to illustrate the challenge of examining extraordinary claims without compromising scientific rigor. The debate continues to inform how podcasters approach discussions of contentious evidence and eyewitness testimony. The Jamie Pull That Up Fail. During the middle of a fiery argument over historical facts, a technical malfunction of uncommon frequency led to the infamous Jamie Pull That Up Fail. Jamie, the trusted producer and fact-checker of Rogan, could not locate simultaneously a crucial reference, and this led to a breakdown in the otherwise seamless fact-checking process of the show.
Yeah.
Bees are dying from the heat.
Is it the heat?
Yep, they're evaporating, they ejaculate, and their whole body blows up.
Is that real?
Bring it up, Jamie. I'm gonna fucking do something in here today.
This incident revealed the high risk of live fact-checking in hot topics, and showed how dependent the show had grown on real-time fact-checking. The incident was short-lived, but showed the delicate dynamics between host, guest, and support team in maintaining the continuity of lengthy discussions. The situation became a meme in the podcasting community, but also generated stern debate about the role of fact-checking in live broadcasts. Podcasters enhance their research processes significantly as a consequence, appreciating that even the best planned shows can encounter such issues. The event revolutionized other programs' approaches to live fact-checking with several implementing backup plans and robust research processes. The Jordan Peterson Climate Change Clash.
And the same with the word environment. That word doesn't mean, it means so much that it actually doesn't mean anything. Like when you say everything, in a sense, that's meaningless, right? Because, well, what are you pointing to? Well, I'm pointing to everything. Well, what's the difference between the environment and everything? Have to.
What they mean specifically is the human, what human beings are doing that's causing the Earth to warm.
Right,
So
right. But you have to include all these factors in the models to determine that. All these factors. Well, what can you not include? Well, then by deciding what you don't include, you decide which set of variables are cardinal. And you have to make that decision in some sense before you even generate the models.
Jordan Peterson's comments about climate models triggered what turned out to be one of the most scientifically combative moments in the program's history. When Peterson attempted to call climate science method into question, his comments provoked an unparalleled outcry from the scientific community, with climate scientists writing lengthy refutations. The exchange revealed the dangers of commenting on highly technical scientific matters without necessary expertise. Peterson's attempts to leverage his knowledge of psychology on climate science brought into sharp relief the boundary limits of multidisciplinary observations, especially on highly technical matters of science. The backlash was swift and copious, as many dozens of climate scientists wrote detailed analyses of where Peterson erred. This episode triggered broader discussion about the responsibility of public intellectuals when they comment beyond their field of expertise. It was a case study in how misinformation can spread even through seemingly intellectual discussion, prompting many podcast hosts to rethink how they tackle complex scientific matters. The incident also served to highlight the challenges of balancing open discussion with scientific accuracy. The rapid-fire presentation of so many conspiracy theories was too much even for Rogan's long experience with rowdy guests.
A lot of things, a lot of notes I have here. Tobacco was amazing, by the way.
It's pretty good stuff. But I'm just...
Can I have a little bit more tobacco?
Yes, for sure, 100%.
So let me tell you what's really going on. I'm God. I'm already God. I've achieved godhood. God knows everything except where God came from.
You're legitimately freaking me the fuck out. This is actually dangerous.
Jones's tendency to jump from topic to topic, mixing confirmed information with unconfirmed claims, was a challenge that even real-time fact-checking could not completely overcome. The program demonstrated the vulnerabilities of the long-form podcasting medium when being confronted by guests who employ a Gish Gallop tactic of bombarding the audience with lots of disparate assertions. Despite Rogan's efforts at fact-checking and moderation, the conversation tended to unravel into loosely related digressions. Any attempt to verify one assertion led to 3 more unsubstantiated claims. This episode ignited hot debate about platform responsibility and the limits of open speech. It led to many podcast platforms developing more comprehensive policies on content moderation and fact-checking obligations. The consequences of this episode continue to inform the debate around responsible platforming and the challenges of hosting controversial speakers. Media critics continue to reference this episode when describing the boundaries between free speech and responsible broadcasting. These are the moments that have remade how digital media works around contentious conversation, far beyond the world of podcasting. Websites have been compelled to balance free speech with liability for content, resulting in changing policies on content moderation and fact-checking. The reverberations of the blow can be felt from YouTube content policy through the way mainstream media websites interact via in-depth interviews. What do you think of these legendary podcast moments? Have they changed your way of consuming long-form interviews? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't miss a single in-depth look at the most impactful moments of digital media by subscribing here.